Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson at a very, very blustery Clarence Park, where the Saints' promotion hopes have also been blown away. It was a day in where we needed everything to go right for us here, and also in Essex with Billericay's result. It was a day where everything went wrong. We're a goal down in 10 seconds, straight after the restart from that one. We could have been another goal down, 11 seconds after that restart. It ended up 4-0, nothing went right.
Ended up 4-0, David. It could quite easily have been 10-0 today. I think without Dean in goal, there was 3 or 4 unbelievable saves he's made, including the penalty. So again, as I say, we look at the way we plan and we prepare, and I felt professionally we do the right things by clapping on the pitch. Maybe it was the wrong thing to do. Maybe we should have just went out there and started like we've done in other games, but I think sometimes there's got to be some morals in football, and I thought it was the right thing to do, but we certainly didn't start the game. You've just highlighted the first 60 seconds there. I think after 11 minutes we could have been 5-0 down. I think they've hit the post twice. Dean's had to make a couple of worldies, and they've scored the 2 goals. So we were passive from the first whistle. We didn't look like we were up for a cup final, and it was a cup final. I know we were waiting on other results, but you've got to give full credit to Bath because they've gone to Billericay and done what we wanted them to do. And I know there's been a lot of stuff talked about since yesterday in terms of the debacle that went on again yesterday with Concord Rangers, but we said it all along, it's in our hands, and I truly believed if we won today we'd have been in the playoffs, and we haven't been good enough. We haven't been able to put a performance together to beat the champions. We haven't been good enough to stay in the game, to see where we are with 20 minutes to go, because we were out the game within the first 10 minutes.
I actually agree with you, and I think the Guard of Honour was the right thing to do. They deserve it. They've run away with the league title in the end, which we didn't really get going after that. But once it was 2-0, and we were fortunate not to be more behind early on, there was a time when we did get a few chances and we could have pulled it back.
We got a couple of half chances, yeah, you did right. David Moy, I think, had a chance, and there was 1 or 2 other little things where the keepers had to make a couple of saves, and even the back pass to the keeper that he smashed straight against David Moore could have quite easily gone in the goal. So we did create some chances, and that's what we spoke about at half time. Let's try and get back in the game. Let's try and get back to 2-1, and then with 20 minutes to go we can really have a go at them. And we were going towards our crowd, and obviously let's just give them something to start shouting about, but we never give the crowd anything to shout about the whole day today. And we go back to the East Thurrock game and some of them games where we've given the crowd something to lift, and today from the first whistle we never gave them anything to get behind us. It's difficult for them when you're 2-0 down and you're trying to get back in the game going away from the supporters. So we needed a spark, and unfortunately we never had a spark there today from whoever. We never had it. Unfortunately, Sam Merson picked up the injury on Wednesday at Boreham Wood, so we've named him on the bench, but literally we would never use him unless it was absolutely in the last couple of minutes we might be able to use his long throw. So it was just one of them really. It's been a long season in the end in terms of the injuries we've picked up. We're just saying there, we've lost Sam Merson today. David Moyo's playing with an injury, he was had to come off. Scott Shorten's played with an injury, had to come off. We've lost David Noble, Ben Hurd, Zane Banton. And it's just Richard Show Silver's here today. We lost him early on, so it's just been a really, really horrendous time in terms of injuries. But let's not take nothing away from Torquay. I thought they were superb today. They approached the game correctly, and they did what's right for the league. They actually got a performance that gave Wealdstone the opportunity to get in the playoffs. So you've got to say full credit to them, full credit to Bath for going to do the job they did, and we have to wipe ourselves down again and start planning and preparing for next season.
You quite rightly point out those injuries in. It's been an incredible injury list this season, which means, no disrespect to the players you did put out, you probably didn't have the 11 you wanted, and you probably also didn't have the balance you wanted.
No, and that's what happened in the end. I think you're right with the balance. We lost Zane, who could play down the left wing or in the hole. We couldn't play. We've not been in a position over the last 4 or 5 games where you can play Merson and Moyo together. And as I say, we just probably went to the well once too often today. And when you go there, and that's not being disrespectful to the side we had out today, but with the players that were missing, we just wasn't good enough to go and compete and try and take the champions all the way to the wire and try and give us an opportunity to get in the playoffs. I've just said to the players, now I'm immensely proud of the players, considering what we've had to go through in terms of pushing themselves to the limit and winning games in the last couple of minutes when we could have quite easily been out of it. And some of the performances on the road since Christmas have been outstanding in some of the results we've had. But we just haven't been good enough. We've come up short in the end. There's been an inconsistent spell in terms of 2 or 3 times where we've taken some heavy defeats, the Hungerford game and again today. And we've just conceded too many goals. I felt, up until today we sorted that out in terms of the defensive side of it, but today, we just couldn't hold the ball up front. Their wide men were getting in behind us, their movement was better than ours, and I didn't think our midfield really got to grips in terms of what they had until the second half, and then we got a little bit on top, caused some problems, got in once or twice, but then our options were poor. We didn't get an end product. I think we had 1 shot on target, maybe 2 shots on target the whole game.
Like we spoke this time last year, we spoke at the start of the season about how strong this league was going to be this year. Looking at it, was it as strong as you expected?
I don't know really in terms of, I think that's a fair question, because I think when you looked at it we probably felt it was. You look at Torquay in terms of what they are, what they've got, they're a conference football side at the end of the day. Are they a football league side? They're probably not far away from that. I've made a statement that they'll go very well next season in terms of the National Conference, because I think Gary's got an unbelievable squad together. Everyone knows their jobs. They're full time in terms of the way they train, the way they plan, the way they prepare. And he's got some good players, and every single one of them is a man, I felt. And today I felt some of ours were not so much intimidated, but wasn't up to the level of what their performances were. And we'd come off second best. And it hasn't happened much, especially at St Albans this year. I think Bath was the only game I can look at it and say we weren't quite good enough today. We've well and truly, been taken to the cleaners by a decent side, who are worthy champions and made us look, I felt, quite poor at times. And I don't want to say that against my own team, because I felt this season, they've been outstanding. Some of these players have run through brick walls for us. They've been good, taking it to the last game of the season, but just in the end we just haven't been good enough in the final running.
It almost seems like, I think again from like last year, it's only 1 or 2 players perhaps difference that would have made that difference, got you into the playoffs.
And I think you're probably right. 1 or 2 different results, 1 or 2 different players, but and you're probably right, that little bit of quality, and I felt we lacked some quality today, but we got some good areas. I think David said it earlier in the first half, especially that last 20 minutes after we weathered that storm where we could have been 4 or 5 down. We got in some really good areas. We caused them 1 or 2 problems, but again the quality of our deliveries in the box, we're just hanging it up in the air. The goalkeeper's coming to balls comfortably, where we need to be putting people under pressure and putting challenges in, and then having a little bit of a quality pass in there. Everything we ended up over the last 3 or 4 weeks has just been lumped into the box, hoping to win second balls, but as I said there, we've had some opportunities, we didn't take them, and in the end it just looked like I felt their fitness level got above us. We'd become disjointed. We were trying to chase the game without really anything in the side that was good enough to go and cause them any problems.
Do you know in your head where the changes will come, whether it's tactics-wise or player-wise?
I think we've got to sit down with Glenn and myself first and foremost and see what players we want to take forward with us. You look at the squad we've got here, there's certainly some characters in terms of working hard. Today's just left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth in terms of we lacked a lot of quality over the last couple of weeks, I felt, in terms of some of the players. Our distribution, our picking a pass and picking the right decision and doing the right things and having a picture in your head. I think some of our players have really struggled over the last couple of weeks doing that. So, we've got to think long and hard. Obviously, you have to respect. There's also, there's a budget we have to work within. So we can only go and get players that we feel are going to be better than what we've already got. So, I said we'll speak to the players that are already here. Some players, and I've always said it, it's their prerogative if they want to stay or go. If they want to stay, then we sit and talk and negotiate a deal. If they want to go, then if they're players that we want to keep, we need to obviously talk to them. If they want to go and they feel the grass is greener on the other side, then they'll have to go, and then we'll have to look to try and rebuild. But it's not one of them that really frightens me, Neil, in terms of where we are, because the amount of agents and the amount of people that want to come to the football club, it's just whether we're in a position where we can financially afford them. So I've been doing it now, I think, for 28, 29 years as a manager. So, you know, I expect at this stage of the season we have to probably go and rebuild. We have to look into areas where we've been really good over the last couple of years, where we've fallen short a little bit this year, which is probably in the wide areas. We also need to look in terms of the forwards. We went into the last few weeks of the season with 2 forwards, and it wasn't enough in the end. We needed a 3rd forward. But if you're going to have 3 forwards, you can only play 1 or 2 at the same time. So people are going to be frustrated in what you're trying to do. So we need to probably bring somebody in who's going to be a little bit younger and wants to try and progress and look to try and impose himself into this team, and try and learn that, you know, they're not going to play every week, because when players don't play every week at this level, they get unsettled, and we've seen that already this season in some of the players that didn't play week in, week out. They become unsettled and want to try and obviously go and play elsewhere, and you have to respect them for that. But again, you know, we have to sit down and see what players want to stay first and foremost, and then we can pick up what we're going to do going into next season, which again, you know, I know we're still 28th or 27th of April. We're planning that on the 29th of June we'll start again, so it will come round very quickly. We've got a couple of targets we want to try and highlight and see if we can bring them in, but again, a lot of it will come down to players' demands and what we've got here to offer them. You know, we've got, again, I don't know what the crowd was today, but you know, if we're doing well and we're playing well, then the crowd do come and support us here, and they've been outstanding this season. So we've got to keep maintaining that. As I said to you, I don't think over the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks we've had the quality in the team as much as we had. I felt today with Scotty back in there, we started to pass it again. But when he's not in the side, we become very predictable. But the predictability about us is that we become very hard to play against, because we got the ball forward very quickly, kept it in the opposition half, and when we do that, we're a handful. But we need to have that little bit of quality with the other side of the game.
Talking of players individually, Dean Snedker, you've already mentioned, he was able to celebrate his 100th game by saving a penalty. Ben Wyatt picked up the Supporters Player of the Year, probably no great surprise there.
Yeah, I think with the amount of monthly awards he's won, Ben's coming has been immense, because, you know, we've played him in 3 different positions. You know, we have played him left back, we have played him left wing, and we played him obviously in the centre of midfield. So he's come and he's been great in terms of what we wanted. We know what we're going to get from him. You know, he's very tenacious. He does a really good job for us in terms of every week. You know, he doesn't pick up many injuries, and he's one of them. You know, we've got to try and obviously re-sign now and take it forward into the future, because, you know, he's been a good signing for us. He's been a good player for us, and he certainly is one of the players that we need to take forward. But I thought, you know, even Dean, as we said today, but I thought James Klotsky was outstanding today. It was a tough game out there, and you see in the lad Reid, he's a handful. And that's where we've got to try and aspire to. We need to have players that have got that level of performance in them. And, you know, I was pleased when he went off at 2-0, because I thought it was a chance for us to get back into it. But then they're bringing on another player and another player and another player, and it just, as I say, in the end, it's just, it was like a conveyor belt in terms of the players and the quality they've got.
When you look at your squad for next season, I expect the budget's going to come into it. Any idea what it's going to be next year compared to this year?
No, I need to sit down with Lawrence and John in the hopefully next 7 to 10 days, just to find out where we are. Obviously we've got to respect where we are as the club and what we're trying to do. But it would be nice if we could get a bit more, just to try and bring a little bit more quality into the team. I think everyone's aware of where we are with the budget, and you also got to look at, you know, I've said it all along, Aldershot, Maidstone and Havant coming down, they're going to be big clubs in terms of what they've got. You know, they get well supported crowds, and I know there's only going to be 2 relegations next year, but I've said all along, and I said it this year, and that was my one fear this year, we'll get dragged into relegation, and we've been better than that, which is good. But next season we certainly don't want to be dragged into a relegation fight early on, because you get caught into it and you become a little bit nervous, and you give points away when you don't. So we've got the making of a decent side here. We've just got to go and get them bits of quality in there now, and we've also got to try and clear up the injuries and see where they are when it comes to the start of the season.
Well, thankfully we were well clear of a relegation fight. We actually ended up 1 point less than we got last season. Overall, any particular things pleased you from this season? Anything in particular that's disappointed you?
I think in the end the disappointment is we've not made the playoffs, because I felt this is the one year where we'd really gone and put ourselves in a position to go and do it. And I think there's been spells this year, you know, you've got to look at the debacle that happened with the FA Cup and the way we were treated there, and we didn't know from one week to another where we were going to play or not play. I think the debacle with Concord yesterday was again the league announcing it a day before the last game of the season for me was scandalous. You know, I've said all along, and you know, I've got to be careful here because we had to beat Torquay and we hadn't been good enough to beat Torquay. So you know, it's not sour grapes now because we've got beaten, we're not in it. But you know, to announce the day before the last game of the season that Concord aren't going to be allowed to go up. And the closing date for having the ground ready was apparently the 31st of March, whether there was an appeal that took place. But we knew Thursday night that was happening through players at Concord who were told that they wouldn't be going up. And then the league making an announcement at 11 o'clock or 10:30 yesterday morning. So that took a bit of an edge, I suppose, in terms of the dynamics of what Bath had to do. And you've got to take your hat off to Bath in the way they've obviously gone to Billericay and done a job today. But you know, they could have quite easily got beat 5-0 today and still been in the playoffs on Wednesday night. So that changed everything from where we was. Is it right, you know, that the eighth place club isn't promoted? I don't think it's right. I think at the end of the day, we all spend budgets. We had a boiler taken that broke down here at Christmas. The owners had to spend £5,000 to get hot water into the away team changing room and the home team changing room. And you know, would it have been better to spend that money on a player? Possibly, because we might have got into players if we'd have done that. So there's lots of little things there that has disappointed me because it has led to a little bit of uncertainty in certain areas. As I say, the FA Cup certainly was an area which left us in total disarray in terms of when we was going to play, when we wasn't going to play. And again, everything's left to the last minute, you know, 3:30. Again, yesterday with Tom Bender at 3:30, we're told he can't play today. And if you're going to have these rules and you're going to have these regulations and you're going to have these appeals, for me they've got to be done a lot quicker because I need to plan and prepare. And from Wednesday I couldn't plan whether I was going to have Tom or not, so I had two different teams in my head. And losing Tom at 3:30 on a Friday was a blow. I think the way we finished a lot of games and the way we've gone and taken, you know, the last 10-15 minutes of a lot of games, we've gone and really caused some problems and got loads of points late on. And probably that's been, you know, the one good thing about the way we finished a lot of games. I think the fitness levels were good. Are they any better than last year? Probably not. It's just the fact is that we finished a lot of games a lot stronger. And also I think the way the crowd have reacted, I think the crowd have been superb. They've got behind us over the last few weeks. You know, we've got a load of momentum going, and I'm just so disappointed that we've let them down today. And that disappoints me because, you know, we get this crowd on our side, they get behind us, we start getting them into the ground, and then we fall flat on our face, and it's happened too many times this season. Just as we feel we're getting a load of momentum going, we go and put a real bad game in, as we did against Hungerford. You know, we beat Watford here, great momentum going forward. And probably, I suppose, as well, is the way that the Herts Senior Cup got dragged out from us getting into the final in beginning of February, and we didn't end up playing it to the end of April. So little things like that, I think, in the end hasn't helped because it's obviously not helped us playing on Wednesday night. And that's not to take away from the way we performed today because we wasn't good enough, and I don't think Wednesday or Monday had anything to do with the way we performed today. I just don't think we were good enough on the game itself today.
Thanks very much, Ian. I think supporters are pleased we took it to the final game of the season anyway, even if we did blow out then. So at least the end of the season didn't just peter out. There was something there. Yeah,
and as I said a couple of weeks ago, a lot of teams had finished their season where we still had loads to play for. So, you know, it has taken it to the last game of the season. It's just a shame it's ended as damp as it did today, really, because I just felt we needed to go be in the game and give the supporters something to cheer about. And as I say, it fell flat on its face in the end, which is disappointing.
Okay, thanks so much, Ian. Have a good summer.
Thank you very much.
There are other grumbles about the league as well, but we shan't go into that just now. So that's it for this year now. Saints season is over. It's ended with a 4-0 defeat at home to champions Torquay United. We'll be back at Clarence Park, I would think, in early July. We'll see you then.